Yo, yo.
Uh, ¿Dónde está la biblioteca de Silent Hill?
Past the highway. That's all fucked up. Go opposite direction from the school and near the diner. Um,
Uh, Bienvenidos HD Coleccionista?
muy bien. Sí, claro,
No,
claro,
no.
claro.
Ni muy bueno. Mucho bado.
Caralo. Okay. Um, she starts with an Uzi, dude.
Yeah,
I'm like
yeah.
not. That's a very Metroid way to start the game.
Yes, it is, isn't it? I was caught. So I was contacted twice, right? One, I just my Twitter DMs blew up and was like, "You gotta stop him." I'm like, "What? What's happening?" And then the thing came back that was HD
Only
collection,
you.
and
Only you can stop him.
I didn't even get through the part where I was talking to the person. I had the moment like, "You can't, you got, come on." And I get over there, and as soon as I load the stream up, it's the confused face of you going, "What? It's not the." And I'm like, Paige is here, and I'm like, I'm gonna call him. She's like, you gotta call him. I'm gonna call him.
Now, now,
Um,
in everyone's defense, you're not crazy. I do recall years of being told about how bad the HD collection is. I do
mhm.
recall. But I also recall a extra heavy emphasis on two and how bad two was,
Yeah,
and
no, that's definitely accurate.
and three as more of a yeah, you know. And I was like, okay, so that's an category. Um, and then yeah, and then someone went like, it's fine, and I was like, okay, but ultimately I'm like, well, I'm not gonna go for that like off the bat. So I then went and searched on the PS app and found no copies of Silent Hill available for purchase in any way, shape, or
Oh,
form.
of course not.
And
No,
then I searched on Steam and I
no,
found no copies of Silent Hill available for
no,
purchase in any way, shape, or
absolutely
form.
not.
At least not the Homecoming Down, besides Homecoming Downpour. And I was like,
You should
oh
have played that.
boy. And then I turned on my Xbox and then I searched on that. So like basically, I do the thing that I'm gonna do with I do with the classic games, where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
is it available on any old platforms? And on the X,
No.
and that's well, that's what it turns out to be. But the Xbox version did have it, and then yeah, the misunderstanding that like it's bad across the board. It's heavily focused on two, but three is bad enough to not bother. Is like, okay, got it.
So I think when you're talking about looking for it, I think it bears mention that Silent Hill's like preservation issues are so bad that 2 is the only game I can think of ever that it's not just play the original release on disc for the PlayStation 2, right? It's play the re-release with the greatest hits box specifically
Jesus.
because they re-released they put it out on Xbox. They had the bonus campaign and the new lighting, and then they re-released it on PS2 as the greatest hits version that had the new campaign. So the original PS2 version doesn't even have like some lighting tricks and the Maria campaign.
So like, are the PC versions of two and three just considered abandonware?
So the PC versions of 2 and 3 are considered to be really cool if you can get your totally legit copy off of Amazon.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that answer your question?
It sounds like might as well be where.
Dang it, stop that.
Might as well be where then. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, Konami doesn't give a fuck. Konami doesn't give a fuck about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Though loading it into like Spanish was not what I expected either.
I don't understand what happened. So yes, I popped in Silent Hill 3. I basically got my turns out I had a PS2 disc.
It's crazy the whole time.
Stuck in behind my shelf. I didn't know it was there. And when I popped it in, for some reason, a Spanish copy loaded up with all kinds of weird stuff and a save, and it must have been because it was in Spanish, and the controls were on Type B, and like,
oh, that's got to be an old save file then,
because I couldn't. It was so confusing.
To the disc somehow.
Yeah, and so what ended up happening was I remember I was pressing back for map, back for inventory, and triangle for map, and I was like, that's not right, but maybe that's what it is, and then when I went long enough, and then eventually went to the controls to check out the quick item button, and I was like, oh yeah, this is on Type B, this is completely fucked. So
yeah,
big old dumb shenanigans, which will be included in the episode 1 of Silent Hill 3 coming out this week on the channel.
I want to give a shout out to moderating friend and yours and mine, Queequeg Theater, for the person to contact me. And I'm going to give a shout out to one Peach Saliva, who was the person who was like, you got to call that dude. You got to make that phone call. It's a group effort, really. It's a group effort.
Talk him off the ledge. So the entire...
Like, there was part of me sitting there watching it. I'm like, what if I just didn't do anything?
So
would that be more fun?
Well, so the entire voice acting track has been redubbed but not replaced, so it plays at a higher volume over the original voices.
It's wild. It's crazy. And also, it's the Persona gang, the Laura Baileys and the Yuri Lowenthals, and right, the people you would expect, and like, they're like fine. They're fine, right? But one of the things about Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3 was that the people that they got off the street to do the characters were then modeled into the game as the characters.
Oh, wow.
So that their performance would be the same as the person. So, like, I don't know if you've ever seen what Guy C. he looks like.
Yeah, I do.
He looks like James. You see the actors are the characters, which makes it extra wild.
I got a really good look at him in Terrace House.
Yeah, it's extra weird that you would ever recast it.
Okay. All right. So yeah. Anyways, all things aside, once once we pulled out of the parking lot and got on the road with that, yeah, that's a Silent Hill game so far. So good. It definitely starts it's that point where it's, if you're coming back to this, it's the third time around, so I guess we're not going to do the slow start. We're just going to go barreling into it, which I kind of assume is probably how it goes with horror movies as well. When you're like a numbered entry in a franchise and you're like the third or fourth horror movie, you're probably just going to get started with the horror shit way earlier, way sooner.
So I went and took a look at you going through it. And you got hit by the roller coaster.
Got hit by the roller coaster. Mm-hmm.
Which is the end of that sequence. Mm-hmm. But if you fucking die in that sequence, it just skips right the fuck forward.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Right. Immersive intro.
Yeah.
And it I mean, not much to say so far except for like, we're back in and we're doing it. The only difference is this time way less setup and like, I guess, pretext for trying to figure out what's going on and who we are.
How do you feel about dick monsters?
I mean, I was hoping it wasn't so overt, and
Oh no.
then it just became nonstop. We're on our fourth one probably, and now it's kind of like, okay, okay, yeah, this backstory's probably gonna be bad.
It's like, listen, so we did Silent Hill 2, so we established the monsters look like what the
Mm-hmm.
main character. Okay, what's our teenage girl's fears? Dicks, cancer,
Walnuts.
dicks with
You
cancer.
gotta crack walnuts too. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, no, it's yeah, and um, and then there's just the normal bits of like, okay, what can we do? How do we move? How do we schmove? You can still play footsies, but unfortunately, you can't do a back step, so it's a little bit harder this time around. And this is fucked up because it's like in the wrong order, but everything I do tends to be this way. Like I'm
Mhm.
looking at her and I'm just like, every time my brain says Ashley, no wait, Heather, because there's
You're not that far off. They came out like within 1 or 2 years of each other.
and it's just I have to overwrite correct every time because look at her.
Yeah.
It feels like Ashley was like, oh, I guess we took Heather and then we did a different thing, or maybe they're just parallel designs,
Just parallel.
but
It's just parallel.
there's a lot of, yeah, there's a vibe that they share. In any case, yeah, Silent Hill 3. So far so good. Um,
Hey, let me ask you, because you're one of the, so now we're old men. We're horrible digital boomers now. Um, I saw Lance McDonald posting about this on Twitter just a few days ago, and it was perfectly timed, which is the kids now, the kids who are like, my first game was the Halo 3, right? You know
mhm,
them, the ones that
mhm,
are 20 now.
mhm.
Um, it is impossible to overstate how fucking crazy it was to get a PlayStation 2 when Silent Hill 1 and 3 came out 4 years apart. Like, Silent Hill 1 is bordering on 3D stick figures, and Silent Hill 3 is like one of the most impressive amounts of 3D modeling ever. And those were within a 4 year period.
Yeah. I mean, when we were bringing this point up last time, and I was struggling to remember the exact meme, but I think it was that Final Fantasy 1 and Final Fantasy 10 are like 10 years apart, or
86 to 2001, so
no,
15.
15 years apart, and
Yeah.
then 15 years after 10 you're at, well, now, right, or just a couple years ago, and the the obviously the curve in the technology and everything like that was, we have a fucked up sense of console generation jump quality expectation because
Hmm.
because of that, going from you know NES quality to fucking yeah, FF10 quality in 15 years, and then 15 years passes again, and then things start to change way less, because we're starting to curve, and then we're hitting that slowing off point. You know, it's weird, diminishing returns.
Hey, let me ask you. Oh no. So you just played the Dead Space, right?
Hmm.
And that came out in 2008. That was a little bit ago, right? It's like, well, we're just as far away from Dead Space now as we were from like FF fucking 3.
Hmm. Hmm.
Dead Space came
Hmm.
out.
Hmm. Hmm. It's weird.